This is my basic overview of the gigantic Ursula prop I'm going to make for a Halloween decoration. Since this is such a massive undertaking and it's not something I can do at one sitting, and it's very hard to use a camera and do this at the same time, I'm just going to show you in pieces. Has things are partially done so you can see the inner workings of a prop such as this, and I'll just explain a little bit about all the little details here as I go along. So as you can see, this is little Miss Ursula's face. She's currently under construction, not finished, but I'll just tell you a little bit about how she was made. If we go to the back here, you can see her understructure, just made with PVC pipe all through her head. And I originally used a balloon to get a basic shape, a basic round shape. On top of that balloon, I covered it with newspaper and a glue, just glue and water, paper mache, just to create a little solid understructure for her. For her hair, I used great stuff foam, which I'm in the stages of carving, give it some more shape. But to get the details of her face, I'm using a clay. I'm using an air dry clay. Sure, there are different brands, all do the same thing. It just happens to be the brand I'm using right now because I've used it before. A little hard to work with, but since I'm fabricating her, meaning I'm not molding, I'm not going to create a sculpture, then take a mold, then take a cast, because that's just way too expensive. So I'm just building her from the inside out. So I use this air dry clay. So it is kind of hard to work with, but it does get the job done. So that's how we're getting the details on her face. Okay, now let's go over. Her face is going to look something like this when her smiling at me. Okay, now we're going to take a walk through my messy little area here and look at her body in progress. So let's see, turn the camera. I don't know if that's such a good idea. Okay. So I've got a PVC understructure made a stand, and then there's, I forgot the name of this paper. It's board. It's just a pretty type of cardboard, construction board, craft board, and I taped it. Right now it's being held together with tape, so I'm hoping that will hold up. And the reason why I'm doing this, keeping this flat, is number one, I'm going to be using great stuff foam for the top of her, carve out her chest area, and then for the understructure to build up her body, because she is quite large, I cut open. Sorry, I'm trying to record this and show it at the same time. Not an easy task. I don't have a little helper to use my video camera for me, but what I did was I cut out these pieces of the foam board. This is called foam board. You can see that. Made them into half shapes. They're going to simulate her big stomach. So what I'm going to do is hot glue them to the foam board like this, so this will build her up some girth. Then after those parts are all glued on, she's nice and girthy, I'm going to cover it with some bubble wrap and foam. And so it will look like the effect. What I'm going for is, you can see the effect on this one tentacle that was finished here. The foam board is going to be glued up like this, and then you can just cover that with some bubble wrap and then paint it, put fabric over it, however I'm going to finish it off to make it look complete. Don't know yet. But I also did another little tentacle I found it a lot quicker as to cut out the tentacle shape in the foam board and then just cover it with great stuff foam and then carve it down to the shape I like. That actually worked quicker than this, but this is still good for creating girth for other types of projects. For instance, I'm not using great stuff foam for all of this because that would be way too much great stuff foam. So this is a cheap way to get some girth on a massive size project. This is very popular if people do big animal sculptures, big monsters. So this is where I'm at right now, and then as it progresses, I'll show more video of that. But here I'll put her little head on. Her body. You get to see all the craziness around my house as I walk from one area to the other, but her head's just gonna go like that. And I'm building her so she can be taken apart, so her arms and legs, excuse me, she didn't have legs, so her arms and her tentacles can be removed. Otherwise she would never be able to get through a door. So you see, you can see her shoulder shapes around here. Arms will be hanging out around there. And then she is going to be a big girl. Okay, so that's it for now. We'll see how it goes as I continue on. So here is Miss Ursula, about 95% finished. She's so humongous I can't even get a full shot of her in my camera. I'd have to turn my camera like this, the best I can do. She can't even fit in my house, she's so big. But it's almost done. Just some rough spots here and there I have to refine. So hopefully we won't see things like this and like this. See, this is the third video I shot of her, about a month. The last time I shot a video was about a month ago, so I don't remember what I said, but basically the tentacles, I don't know if I described the tentacles, how they were made, but it's just, there's a bit of foam board, a sheet of foam board, I don't know if that was necessary, and then I coated it with great stuff foam. Took many bottles of this. This ended up being a lot more expensive than I thought it was going to be. It would take one tentacle, took at least an entire bottle, if not more, maybe 2 bottles of foam. And then it's covered in, what do you call it, paper mache. Because the foam is so porous, I just wanted a more smooth look. And then I'm going to paint them black. And when I started this, I really didn't have a good plan of how I was going to attach the tentacles. I was hoping that maybe when I make the dress, that will drape over and cover it so you don't see this stuff right here. I wish I had a better plan going into this because I really don't know how I'm going to piece that all together. But right now her bottom here is just covered in a trash bag, plastic trash bag that I glued to her. But her entire body is just basically great. There's great stuff foam. There's a bunch of stuff in there, everything I could find. Random things around the house, trash is in there, but it's mostly bubble wrap, packing bubble wrap, an entire roll of that, just covered in tape. And right now she's just wearing a trash bag, but I have to eventually make her dress out of fabric. And let's see, her arms are detachable because she's so huge. She's got to get in and out of doorways, so her arms are able to come off, and I'm going to try to make this as seamless as I possibly can. But her arms do need to come off because she's so humongous. There's her head. Her head is, the inner workings of her head is basically newspaper, just balled together to make the shape. Lots and lots of stuff. Lots of newspaper to give it girth. And then there's air dry clay is what's used to refine her face so she looks smooth. And her hair is Great Stuff foam, carved into shape. And then her little hands over here, I've got to fix this because her hands come in and out. This is air dry clay. I used a different kind of air dry clay I've never used before, and it's cracking. I think it's made by Crayola. I don't remember the brand. I think it's Crayola, so if anybody's curious, that's not a very good brand because it's cracking. But the stuff I use for her face, I wish I could remember the name. I know it when I see it. Sold at Walmart, sold at Michael's, but it's very good clay. It's only about $6 or $7, and I've never had cracking issues with it. You can get very, very smooth with it. I had to sand it down. It was rougher until I just sanded it down with sandpaper. And I'll fix things like this. I don't know exactly how, but you can see her body is, her upper torso is basically Great Stuff foam. Ton of Great Stuff foam. And I decided to paint her with silicone, a mixture of silicone, naphtha, silicone from basic home improvement silicone from Home Depot or Lowe's, caulking silicone, and it's mixed with naphtha and oil paint. She's very rough right now. I don't know if I can make this smoother. I should be able to, but it'll take just lots and lots and lots of naphtha with that, which I'm out of right now. So that is her. I don't know what else to say about her right now. Hopefully she will be done one day. This definitely took a lot longer than I thought it would. I actually thought this was just going to take a few weekends. I thought it was going to take just a few bottles of Great Stuff foam. It took so much more. So if anybody else is planning on fabricating on such a massive creature, the Great Stuff foam is going to be very, very expensive. I would suggest in the future, if I ever do something like this again, I would use more foam board, cut pieces of foam board and just glue them vertically to get shape. I would use more garbage around the house, something else. It would just, this ended up being, this is about $200 I think so far, and just Great Stuff foam alone. But okay, when she's finished, I will do my last video. Alright, so now I've finally completed Miss Ursula to a point where I'm at least satisfied with her. She's not perfect, can still use some work, but at least I'm okay with this for now. And she's not coming out until next Halloween, so I got a full year to work on her anyway. So I can't get a full shot of her without going vertical, so that's what I'm going to do. And there she is. Still can't get it all in frame, and I can't back out any further than this. She is one big mama. Okay. Alright, I'll get a little closer and show you some more detail here. Her little tentacles are painted. They're not attached to her body. I just placed them there and never figured out how to make them attached. And the only major drawback to her at this point in time is her dress. Right now she's wearing a hefty trash bag because I'd have to make a dress for her, and I don't feel like making a dress for her right now. So this is not very flattering to her voluptuous figure, but she's just going to have to live with it until one day I feel like sewing. But I'm satisfied with her. There's still some rough spots. Her paint job's very, very rough because I chose silicone. And that was a bad thing to do. I won't do that again in the future. But I can kind of smooth that out. It will just take a lot of silicone and a lot of naphtha. Make the paint very, very thin with a very nice brush, and I can fix that. But overall, I'm pretty satisfied with her. And this is a pretty surreal sight to be in my little kitchen area. Still freaks me out in the morning when I wake up and see her there. But I'm happy with her. It's pretty cool. And she's just going to have to wait for Disney next year. And that is all for now.